Alright, welcome back to part 10. In the previous session, we had marked this up, 17 there, plus the extra one there, 18. So in the previous session, I had a look at this measuring of this tartan in the inner apron, and I'm not happy with this. The way it stands right now is that I've got insufficient foldage on this side, so I don't have a pleat there, which isn't good. The problem with 4-yard kilts is we don't have that much spare material here. So I figured what I'm going to do is, because we did this in our previous session, I've got the black there, and if I use the black there, I wouldn't have enough tartan. So I'm going to be shifting this onto the blue, and you won't see it that readily because it tapers in. So that's what I'm going to be doing next. So I've got to go from there down. That's going to be visible, and that's going to go out a little bit and then down. So that's going to be my new line. Now I measure 17 to get the center, 8.5, that's the center, and there's 17 over there. There's 17 over there. There's 17 plus one more inch, because I've still got to put that to Alright, here's the new and revised. This is my outer apron. There's the seam there, and what I'm looking for is the same on this side there. So although this is the blue, it won't be that visible to the naked eye. So that's nice and parallel up to there. Then it opens up a bit, and then on the black line is where we start seeing the red, and that's exactly what I've got there. So I'm very happy with this. That also means that I'll have a nice deep pleat on the inner apron as well, which will look very, very nice. So what I've got to do now is measure from there to there. 17 is the natural waist, plus one more, so I need to get 18. 17 plus 1 will give me 18, and there's 18 there. Alright, so that's what I'm looking at there. So there's 17, an inch back. That's the normal waist. But then I've got to add this one over there. Okay, so I put that on there and I stitch that in. So this will go running about down parallel, going out slightly wider as we go down. But then to solve that problem, because there's not enough weight on there, we'll have about that much there. I might just consider stitching one of these from the waistband and putting that in, so that'll look nice. Alright, that's it there. So nice and parallel, then it branches out. So it goes from a nice and wide to a taper, and it goes from the red into the black. If I look at the front, it goes from the red into the black with a nice taper. So I'm very happy with that. There's 17 there. So this is the client's natural waist, right? But because I'm going to be adding this strap to it, and because this swings around to the left hip, this side has to be slightly longer. So I'm adding on an extra inch. So this one falls away. So when you are creating the last little seam there, the last pleat, this isn't a straight down. If it's a straight down, then it would bother you on your left leg when you walk. So I'd like a nice wide taper. Nice wide taper. By me having a nice wide taper, it kind of wraps around your leg, going to the outer thigh. Not the inner thigh when you walk, but the outer thigh. But can you see now, I don't have much left over there. That's enough. That's enough. But just to add a little bit of bulk, I think I'm going to be adding this one there. So when it's folded in, I'll have a little bit of extra bulk there, I think. But the way it stands like that, it's totally acceptable for you to use that amount. It's totally acceptable. But because I have this extra, I might add the extra weight. Now just realize that this is a slight deviation from the norm. The only reason why I'm sewing this up is to add a little bit of bulk. If there's no bulk, then it just feels somewhat uncomfortable on the leg, on the thigh. But also, if there's no bulk, then it tends to always fall on the inner thigh. But if there's bulk, this allows for the seam to fall on the outside of the leg when you're sitting down or when you're walking. So for me, it's a personal thing and it's a comfort thing. Now usually, when you get to the end of the 4 yards, the inner apron's the last thing that's given much thought, purely because no one sees it. But I wear my 4-yard kilts every day. I teach in them every day. I work in them every day. So I wear them for comfort. So if I've got a 4-yard kilt that sits uncomfortably, I'll never wear it again. So all I'm doing is a basic running stitch. Where I'm just stitching the two materials together. So when I turn it over, the seam looks like that. You won't see it, and then when it's turned on the inside, you definitely won't see it. But again, for me, This is just a comfort thing. Alright, and I'll stop there, and when you see it again, it will be finished. Alright, now we're getting to the part that if I had left this long, it will show on the outside of the kilt when the wearer is wearing it. So we have got to now put this, we've got to tuck this under. And again, this is just a rough guide, a rough estimation. Only when you start sewing does it have to be exact. Alright, look at that. Alright, so there we go. There's the top. Again, there's that inside seam that I sewed, just to add that bulk. There's the pins, keeping it nice and neat. This is the selvage. Can you see the selvage? Now, around about halfway, I start tapering the selvage up. Can you see there? It goes all the way up. I taper it up. If I left this nice and long, then as the wearer is wearing the kilt, this will be unsightly, so you don't want that. So again, nicely tapered all the way up, nice bulk, and this will sit on the outside of the wearer's leg and will feel very, very comfortable. Now you might ask, well, how much do I need to taper it up? And that's a very good question. So I've got this line there at the bottom of my selvage. Can you see there? There's that line, the bottom of my selvage there. This is the bottom there. So if I'm measuring, so from the selvage up, it's just shy of 1.5 inches. So I'd say about 1.5 inches. No more than that. One and how much is that? So there it is there. Just shy 1.25 inch. There it is there, 1.25 inch. If you had it less than 1 inch, then it may still be visible. So 1.25 inch I think is perfect. Right, the next thing I'm going to do now is stitch it. Start off with a knot, and then I hide the knot inside. Tie with a loop, tie it off. Do it again. Make a loop, tie it off. Now again, I'm only getting the peaks of the tartan. Because anything that I go too deep is going to show on the other side of the tartan. Even though this is the inner apron, you won't actually see anything on the inside. It will be unsightly if a kilt maker has put some threads on the other side. So all I'm doing is I'm taking the peaks and I'm sewing it through. So if I turn this over, I can't see any stitching there. That's the idea, I can't see any stitching. Now also, to reinforce this, once I've finished this, I will iron this down so it's nice and flat. Alright, so I'll catch you on the other side. Alright, so I've just sewn it. I've just finished sewing it. That's what it looks like. You can't even see the stitching. And that's what it looks like on the other side. Can you see the stitching? No way. So a nice even stitch. Right, so now we've got this little section, and I always stitch this little section closed. So I start there, I'll work my way towards that point there, and then I'll work my way towards the north of the kilt. So again, start with the inside stitch just to hide my knot. Can you see my knot there? Put the knot on the inside. There it is there. And then I just grab that side at the top. And what this does is it just seals the two, so that you always have the cloth where you've placed it, so it's not going to move. No one sees this. It's purely for aesthetics, but you're sealing off a nice seam, making it look nice and neat. And again, you don't have to make the stitching big. You're just nicking the tops. Again, I'm using black silk. Can you see I've got that? That was almost. Alright, and then I'm going to stitch till there. Alright, so now the next bit that I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch from here all the way up over there. And again, I'm only going to be taking the peaks. I'm only going to take in the peaks. You won't see the stitch on this side. That's the idea. Alright, I'll let you know when I'm done. That's what I'm going to be doing. Alright, this is the finished product. So I'll stitch this up. Again, this is 1 1/4 inch from the bottom of the selvage. I have added that extra bulk to it so that it doesn't sit on the inner thigh. So I'll stitch this up nicely. This is what it looks like on the other side. And again, once it's done, then you iron this bulk down and it's got a nice flat edge. So I'm very happy with that. Perfect. All right, so in our next section, we are going to be putting on the canvas.